Thank you for coming on. Firstly, Jack. Welcome to Sangirl Talks. Firstly, I think it's best to start off with how is isolation going for yourself and your family?
Yeah, it's going all right, mate. I'm back up in Scotland. I managed to get back up before the whole lockdown situation happened. Me and my fiance came up. I'm actually staying with my mum, and she's staying with her family just now. And it's tough at times, but when you see what's happening, the frontliners and things, you feel fortunate that you can be stuck in your house. So it's getting on all right. It's tough keeping up the fitness and things like that, but it's everyone's in the same boat, so you've just got to get on with it as best you can.
That was actually my next question. How are you finding maintaining your fitness levels? Obviously, for any player, it's difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult because it's just not got the same sort of vibe as during the close season when you're trying to keep fit and stuff. It's not got that same vibe at all. It's quite a weird. You see loads of people out walking and that. It's quite weird feeling going to a park and trying to do sprints, and you almost feel guilty being outside at all. So it's well, like I said, everyone's in the same situation, but it is tough. It's just one of those things that we've got to get through, and I think not just players, but everyone is counting down the days until football gets back and life in general gets back to normality.
100%. So we're going to move into your football career now, starting off. When we go back to your first game in 2010 for Aberdeen, you came on against Rangers at Ibrox. What was that like against one of the biggest teams in Scotland?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. To be fair, it was crazy to think it's 10 years ago now. It makes me feel, for the first time, it makes me feel old. And yeah, it was unbelievable. I always remember, we were warming up, and you were just full of nerves. You were just running on adrenaline, in that big stadium, however many fans there were. And I remember, the tin foil that the pies are put into.
Yeah.
I just remember warming up, and I was just a kid, like 16-year-old, and they were just like sort of scrunging them up and chucking them at us when we were warming up. And I just thought, like, this is proper, this is good. I loved it. So, it was an unbelievable experience to go on and it's such a young age as well, to be given that chance to play for my boyhood club, which is something I'm very proud to have done. I didn't play probably as many games as I'd have liked before I moved, but still it's a record that I was very buzzing to get my hands on.
Obviously, you just touched upon it there. You were 16 years old, the youngest ever player. Obviously, that's been broken now. But what was that like? So your hometown club and being the youngest ever player to play for the club.
Yeah, it was a huge thing. I don't think I realised at the time, because you were a kid. I don't think I realised at the time just how sort of proud and happy my family were, my friends were, and I grew up with a season ticket at Aberdeen, so followed them home and away and things like that. So it was a massive moment for us, me, myself, and my family, and it was just quite a surreal moment to finally. I don't think I realised until maybe years later on just how lucky I was that I was given a chance so young, because it's not always the case in today's football. So, it was a great night, and we didn't get the result that I would have wanted. I mean, you want to win on your debut, but if I was just happy to make my debut, that was the main thing.
Just to play at Ibrox, probably the best thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to experience that sort of atmosphere. I'd been a couple of weeks before, we'd actually had Celtic away.
Wow.
And the manager had taken me down on the bus again because I was travelling with the team, and I was only 15 at the time, so it was a couple of months before. And on the bus down, he actually said, he came up the back of the bus and sort of said, he didn't realise that you had to be 16 to play in the SPL. And I did think, like, I'm coming, but there's no chance because it's, the rules say you can't play. And he came down the back of the bus, and his assistant Scott Leach, and sort of said, we didn't realise, like, we were going to have you on the bench and things like that. And then I really would have had the record because it would have been 2-3 months earlier, but I I was gutted, but I knew myself already. I kind of knew that I wasn't able to play, but to have made it at Parkhead would have been unbelievable as well. So yeah, I was very lucky that I managed to make my debut at such a theatre as Ibrox.
Well, like you say, 1 week you're at Celtic, the next year at Rangers, and then you're playing sensational.
Yeah, exactly, and especially at that time, Rangers and Celtic at that time were sort of heavy hitters in Europe and things like that, and they had very quite iconic players, and I actually came on up front, believe it or not, and just like David Weir came on against David Weir up front, and I was thinking, like, how many games has he played? He's played for Scotland, he's done everything, and I'm just like a little 16-year-old kid running around. So yeah, it was good. To be fair, I loved it.
I'm just going to fast forward now slightly to when you joined Shrewsbury Town. Two particular games obviously stick out in the mind. The first one being Chelsea at home. What was that like playing against the players you played against? Obviously, the names like Eden Hazard and Didier Drogba.
Yeah, it was like you said. I came on loan during, I think, their promotion campaign from League Two, and I've only played 7 games before I got recalled. But one of those 7 games was the Chelsea game, which I felt very fortunate. Yeah, I was very lucky. So yeah, it was, and they were. So it was a good time. Well, for us, it wasn't a good time to play them because they were sort of flying high in the league with Jose Mourinho and things, and the Shrewsbury fans packed out the stadium, and it was a great atmosphere because we actually thought that we could win the game because we were winning in the league. So the confidence was high, and then I just remember we went 1-1. And Andy Mangan scored for us, and I did think at that point, I was like, oh my god, like, we're away to go beat Chelsea. I was like, we've got a good chance of winning here. And then Willian does his little step over and cuts inside, and then I think it deflects off our defender and goes in. And it was just, it's one of those things that teams like that get that kind of luck that we didn't get that night. And but yeah, we were very, very unlucky, but it was a great evening.
The FA Cup brings some massive shocks, obviously, but obviously that game stands out. But after the dust had sort of settled after the game, was there a sort of a feeling of, look, we've done all right here. We were minutes away from drawing and taking them back to Stamford Bridge. Yeah,
I think probably the most gutted person in the stadium was our chairman because he'd missed out on the payday of Stamford Bridge. So I don't even think he pretended to come in and say well done. But yeah, no, there was. I mean, I think during promotion seasons, cup runs can do one of two things. They can sort of knock you off and you can pick up injuries, or you can sort of get confidence from playing against teams like that. And I think that season it did nothing but just project them on to getting promoted, and yeah, it was. I wouldn't say it was a catalyst, but I think it just added to what the squad already knew, believed themselves. I think it just gave them extra belief and confidence that they could go and get promoted, which they did.
Fantastic. The next one is a more personal one for yourself, obviously, playing Manchester United, growing up as a fan. What is that like, playing against a Premier League team and your team, more importantly?
Yeah, that was a crazy sort of month. So the game before, we'd beaten Sheffield Wednesday and I'd nicked the winner, and to then watch the draw.
Funnily enough.
Yeah. And to watch the draw, and I remember being so I shared a flat with one of the boys in Shrewsbury, and we were watching it. It was a flat that the club had put us in, and we had to stream the draw through a laptop because we didn't have like Sky or anything on the TV, and we thought that the draw was live in time with everything else, and so we're watching the draw, and both our phones just start pinging through messages like, "Oh my God, you've drawn United! You've drawn Man United!" And then we're sitting there watching it, being like, "Well, we've not drawn Man United yet, but let's." And then basically the computer had been really, really delayed, and then eventually we seen that we had drawn Man United. So I think everyone knew before we did that we'd drawn Man United. But that was a very different game to the Chelsea game. The Chelsea game I found really enjoyable. you had a chance of winning. You nearly won. Whereas Man United turned up and they, I think, were under pressure with Louis van Gaal, and they had to win.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, they had to win, and literally it was probably the least enjoyable game I've ever played in my life. Like, when I say that I didn't touch the ball for the whole 90 minutes, I don't think, and they really showed their class that night, which you'd expect them to do, and yeah, so for all the hype, I had family come down from Scotland and stuff, and it was just a game I wanted to forget instantly. So it was quite a funny one.
Well, more importantly, who were you marking in that game? I'm guessing it was Memphis Depay.
It was, it was. It was Memphis Depay, and I kind of, at the time, he was, touted. He had the number 7 shirt, and everyone was sort of looking towards him, being like you could really go on and fill this shirt. And unfortunately for him, it didn't work out like that. I'm sure he's still doing incredibly well at Lyon, but yeah, I think I caught him on a very odd night, and it was a very tough game. I'll say that.
Yeah. So your next club came in Coventry City, where your performances were obviously rewarded, being in the League Two Player of the Year, which is obviously massive for any player. And then you got into the playoff final. What was the preparation for that, considering it was the national stadium in England?
Yeah, it was. It's such a weird game of football. Unlike any other, because like you say, you're playing at Wembley, so that immediately just, it's not the same build up. It's everything's different about it. And especially with Coventry, they brought sort of 40,000 fans. So that in itself is an unbelievable achievement. And I still remember walking out and seeing like just a wall of, because obviously Wembley's the red seats, just seeing a wall of blue, like sky blue, not a red seat in sight. And yeah, it was an unbelievable build up. And I think the thing that made us, I wouldn't say more nervous, but more probably wanting to win, was that it wasn't like it was obviously a cup final, but that game started way back in August. Like, the objective was to get promoted, and it was building up to this moment. And I think that would have made it. I mean, I can't imagine what it must have been like losing that game, because
devastating.
Oh my God! Like, I just can't imagine the feeling. And it was funny because after the game, we went up and seen our families in the box and things like that, and it was like a corporate kind of area that families could go into, and both teams' families were in there, and you're buzzing, but you're trying not to be too buzzing, because obviously there's Exeter players in there, and it was a very subdued kind of celebration, which then escalated when we got back on the team bus, shall I say.
What were the emotions like after that final whistle blew? That's probably second to none, I would have thought.
Like, honestly, it was well, because the game went sort of 3-0. We got then the chance to enjoy the last 10 minutes, which is very rare from Wembley in a final. Exactly, yeah, and so I found myself like sort of looking around and thinking to myself, soak this in, because these moments don't come around. You're 3-0 up at a Wembley final, and yeah, the days after, I think I woke up so that game was on the Monday, and we woke up on the Wednesday, and we had like an open top bus. And yeah, the days that followed, the feelings, and there was almost a belief like that it wasn't real. It just didn't feel real. And then eventually it sank in what had happened. And then things like the open top bus was just like out of this world crazy. The amount of not many teams in League Two could have done that. The amount of fans that came out by the thousands at Coventry was just, it was unbelievable.
I was just going to touch upon your goal, actually, because I watched it last night. What's going through your head when you go inside?
Like, that's the thing. Like, I think sometimes like these things are just meant to happen, because not much was going through my head. Like, I remember Sparky. I know. Like, I remember Sparky sent the ball back, and I just thought, just shape it, like. And then the feeling I had was, So when I watch the goal back now, it's still the same feeling I had right after it. The feeling never leaves you. The shivers kind of don't leave you. And yeah, I remember just turning around and slid towards, because I knew where my family were sitting. And like everything just fell perfectly into place. Like seeing them during the celebrations and things, and the looks on their faces was just it's a picture in my head that I'll never forget.
I'm gonna say for any fan, you showed amazing restraint to not go mental for that goal. Because I'm sure many fans they'd be off, they'd be running around the pitch. But
well, I think to be fair, by that point in the game, it had been like 33 degrees or something during the game, and I think I'm genuinely lucky I managed a knee slide. I thought I'm that tired and I've ran that much that a knee slide is all I've got in me. And then I remember blew a kiss to my fiance, and like even seeing their faces and things like that is just it was unreal. Plus, I couldn't believe I'd scored a left foot at Wembley anyway.
So now to your current season, obviously being at Wycombe Wanderers, 8th in the league, just outside of the playoff places, based on I think it's goal difference. How has the pandemic affected the squad? It must have been massively affected, just because of, I'm guessing, the momentum throughout the season. And obviously there's uncertainty after the season had stopped, and there was uncertainty it'd even come back.
Yeah, exactly. It was because we were going for something so special. I remember in pre-season the gaffer put up these experts putting up their season previews of where the teams where they thought they would finish, and people had us finishing below Bolton. This was when Bury was still in the league. So they had Bury and then us, and like I think 3 out of 4 of them had us 23rd, and the gaffer kind of put that up on the wall and was like this is all the motivation you need. And then we were 7 points clear at Christmas, and it was an unbelievable achievement. It was an unbelievable first half of the season, which I was loving every single minute of it, training, playing games, which you're going to when you're winning. You're going to love it when you're winning games, but it was unbelievable. And then I got injured, which was unfortunate. And then I literally had just got back. My first game back was going to be the first game that got postponed, against Burton. And I was just thinking, but to be fair, then you're not really thinking about football. You're thinking, well, we're actually in a global pandemic. Like, what's going on? They're closing countries, and every people are dying, and you're like, wow, like that's when you realise just how small football is. But yeah, it was horrible, and I think it's because we were doing so well, and now all of a sudden, like you say, we're 8th in the league. It's just, I look at the table now, and I'm just gutted that we're not even in the playoffs, because we deserve to be there, but now it looks like we're 8th. And but yeah, it's one of those things that no one could have foreseen what has gone on in the last couple of months, and it's just crazy. And I think the quicker it gets back safely, will be better for everyone. But it's an interesting one to see what will happen if they, I seen the other day in Scotland they did the points per game, and then they finished the season.
Yeah.
And and like whether that I don't know whether that happens in England if they can't finish the season. I don't know. So it's just it put the brakes on what was hopefully going to be a really special season for us. But with everything else going on, it's just something you've got to get on with and deal with.
In terms of like perspective, obviously for you guys, if they said points per game or whatever, that'd be heartbreaking, wouldn't it? Obviously you're just outside by goal difference. And for obviously a fan, I'm a Watford fan, so we're just out by a goal or two, and we're like amazing, but there's such a high and a low point in every league, and it's just a special sort of situation, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's funny because if the teams get to vote on it, the teams that are outside the relegation zone are going to be voting for it, and the teams that are inside it are going to be like, this is. And I think, especially at say Premier League level, there's so much money involved.
So much at stake, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they can go down that route because clubs would raise legal challenges for the next 5 years probably. But I mean, in our league, if they did the points per game and took the top 3 teams, we'd be third because we've played a game less than everyone else.
Oh, so would that take you
so
up?
I would vote for it.
if they, we all would.
Like if they took the top 3, which I don't think they do, they would probably just take the top 2. I don't know what they would do, but if they did that and they took the top 3, then I'd be voting for it because obviously it means that Wycombe go up, which is the main.
Yeah, of course. Moving on to who are your closest friends in football? Obviously, you've played in a couple of teams now.
Yeah. Well, I have a couple of good friends from my days at Fulham. Marcus Bettinelli, the goalkeeper at Fulham, and Matt Smith, who's now at Millwall.
Yes. Yeah. It was at QPR as well.
Yeah. So when we were at Fulham, we got, funnily enough, we all got injured. We all got quite bad knee and ankle injuries at the same time. So we were all out for about a period of 3 months, just doing the same rehab together, and that was when we really kind of got close. We actually called each other the Brace Brothers because we were all in braces and casts. Just, it was crazy times. So I'm still close with them. And as far as the season at Coventry during the promotion, I think when you go through, something like that with people, it's inevitably going to bring you really close. Because I was saying to my fiance the other day, she's like, it's such a different kind of friendship you have with them. And I think it's just because you go through something together, you're like working towards the same goal together, and when you achieve that, it's an unbelievable feeling. So from my time at Coventry, I still speak to Tom Davis, who's now at Bristol Rovers, and Mark McNulty, he's at Reading, but I'm on at Hibs in Scotland. So I'd say those two are two that I definitely keep in touch with as well.
Brilliant. Obviously, my sort of second to last question. You've scored some important goals in your time playing. But what is your favourite goal out of the lot? Obviously, I watched a couple yesterday. The one against Stoke, the playoff final. There's a couple to pick from.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not really. I don't go for quantity. I go for quality. So I've scored. I've been very, very fortunate, and I do count myself lucky to score, quite important goals at certain times in games. But I think even like the Sheffield Wednesday one that then led to Shrewsbury playing United, that was a special one as well. But I think the one, because of where it was, how I did it, the Wembley one, that's the one I've watched back hundreds of times, and it'll never get old. And it's one of those things that I'll forever be, very sort of feel blessed for that it managed to happen for me.
In the time that you've played, what's the biggest stadium you've played in? That's obviously another difficult choice. Obviously, Rangers, being in League One, there's Portsmouth, Sunderland. There's plenty of teams you can choose from.
Yeah, it's quite. Like, you look at League One now, and it's really quite weird. You've got, like you say there, Sunderland, Pompey, Ipswich now. You've got big clubs that shouldn't be in League One, and even the gaffer mentioned before that somebody had commented saying that, like, even Wycombe this season are the elephant in the tree. You don't know why it's there, but it's sooner or later going to fall away. It's things like that he always alluded to the fact of the size of Wycombe's club, the stadium, compared to your Sunderland's and everything like that. So it was quite important for us this season. But as regards to the stadium, Wembley is such a weird, special stadium. It's like, because only finals are played there. Nobody plays a season at Wembley. It's just, I think a lot of the stadiums are more about the memories you have there. So like Notts County Stadium for me, I remember we played them, like, they're now in the conference, and like we played them in the semi-final of the playoff games, and so Coventry fans sold out their end, and had flares and things like that, and we won 4-1, and it was an unbelievable night. We were then going to Wembley, and so that stadium for me holds really, special memories. Like, I just love it every time I go near it because it's got that kind of thought. The Ibrox is the same because that was the start of my football career. That it has to hold a special place, although I don't like Rangers as a club. But it's one of those things that it holds such special memories from when you started. And I'm trying to think, and things like playing at Sunderland is another one. Like the stadium, I played there with Fulham actually when in the FA Cup when Fulham we were in the Championship, they were Premier League. We got a 0-0 draw, and then we took them back to Craven Cottage and they beat us 3-1 on a cold Tuesday night. But it's stadiums like that are just. It's the memories attached to it, which I feel very lucky for. Being able to get those memories.
I just want to elaborate on what you said about the elephant in the tree. That just really resonates with me, as in you were predicted to be bottom of the table. You've ended up where you are now. Is there a sort of feeling like we enjoy being the noisy team that everyone thought was going to be down there, but we've shown that we're better than just what they've shown us to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it was literally when the manager told us that quote that somebody had written, and everyone just loved it. Everyone was like, "We are the elephant in the tree," and the gaffer was like, "This elephant's got claws and it's going nowhere." and it literally, it was just another driving factor that. There's loads of things that if you look at the teams up there, they're all teams that have either spent money, need to get promoted. There's sort of that pressure from the fans on getting promoted. Whereas for us, it's just boys like, yeah, exactly. Just enjoy it. A real togetherness about a squad. It's probably the most together I've ever. So in every changing room over the last 10 years, it's the best one I've been in. Just togetherness. Everyone's himself. There's no sort of outcasts or anything like that. So it's a statement that along with getting the picture of us finishing 23rd, it's just little things like that have just driven us on all season.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jack. Really appreciate your time. Obviously, if you enjoyed the video, please like it. Please share the social medias. Please follow Jack. Obviously, a great guy, and hopefully get back to playing and getting in that promotion push.
Yeah, top man, mate. Thank you.